Hello everyone, thank you for this opportunity. I am representing the Naam Tamizhar Katchi here. So first of all, we appreciate Kajju's, Justice Kajju's point of view that he is just recommending us to learn Hindi. If you look at it, even the Prime Minister Modi says, Tamil is the oldest language in the world. He said it in the IIT Madras speech. He also once said that you can know the richness of the Indian culture and tradition from the Tamil language. On the other hand, a spokesperson, I think the BJP youth wing head, Vinod Paselvam, he mentioned if you don't know Hindi, go to Pakistan. That comment was made very recently. So these kind of statements, on one side, Prime Minister Modi is talking so high of Tamil. On the other side, a party's representative is speaking like this. If you don't know Hindi, go to Pakistan. So this is what creates this resentment here. Wherever people are oppressed, definitely you will see agitation there. And as Thoda Tyagu rightly mentioned, this is not the second anti-Hindi war. It is probably at least the third or fourth. The first war, as he rightly mentioned, was in 1937 when Rajaji came into power. He implemented compulsory Hindi in schools. When the whole Tamil nation rose up against it. And I would have felt happy when Thoda Tyagu mentioned the names of the people who took up that agitation. Maraimalai Adigal is the poet and the scholar at that time who initiated that, along with Somasundara Bharadiyar and the K.A.P. Vishwanathan. And at the later stage only, Periyar joined that movement. So I just wanted to correct that fact there. And the second anti-Hindi war, at least in a small level, happened in 1948 to 50, when Oman Durar was the chief minister of the then Madras presidency. Again, Hindi was being implemented as a compulsory language in the schools. Again, Tamil Nadu rose up against it. We also lost some lives in that. And then the biggest agitation happened in after the 63 bill was passed. 64 to 65, it was at its peak. So after that, again, in 68 and 86, there have been small agitations at a small level. But again, what is the need for us now, again, to rise up against this Hindi imposition? So the basic point is, if you remember back in 2014, after the BJP government came into power, there was a circular sent to the ministries to have their communication in Hindi. If people don't know Hindi, both English and Hindi, but give Hindi the preference. So when these kind of things happen, and we continuously see the Prime Minister of India talking to the nation, right, through the Man Ki Baat, and he speaks only in Hindi. And a lot of the ministries and the officials have been told to keep the mode of communication, even in social media, as Hindi. And a lot of things are being published in Hindi. Now, why do we need to learn Hindi? Based on Justice Kajju's point, if you move out of Tamil Nadu, it is difficult for you. I just wanted to look at the statistics as well. I did some search. I found the 2011 census of the government, which says only 45% of India speaks Hindi, and only 25% of that's 25% of all of India, Hindi is the mother tongue. To give the numbers, Hindi speaking, that's mother tongue as the first language, is about 32 crores. If you look at it, 75% of the country speaks some other language other than Hindi. That in certain languages similar to Hindi, like Maithili, Bhojpuri and all that. There are languages like Haryanvi, Khortha, where about Haryanvi is spoken by 98 lakh people. Khortha is being spoken about 80 lakhs of people. What are the measures taken by the government to promote or preserve these languages? Okay, we understand. to Justice Kajju's point when Saravanan mentioned about other languages, not or are completely being dominated by Hindi, they still exist. We agree. Maithili exists, Bhojpuri exists. But tell me honestly, how much of literature is being done today in those languages? What is the contribution of those languages in different aspects of arts and other related stuff? When this is what language is, not just a medium or mode of communication. It is much more. It's a culture. It's a tradition. So when you take away that, eventually, if not today, Maithili and Bhojpuri will die someday, which is what we Tamils do not want to happen to Tamil. And Tamil, as you all know, has a very, very rich tradition, very rich literature, probably the most literature in the whole country than any other languages, including Sanskrit. Sangam literature, which is about 2000 years old. So that's the base I want to set for this debate. And then if you look at it, you need a common language for India. You certainly need a common language with the world as well. When we have English, and when the northern states also teach English in their schooling, why don't you use that as a linked language, a communicative language? As Anna said back in the 60s, why do you need a small door for the small dog and a big door for a big dog? Just build a big door, let both the dogs use that. That's the point. And if you look at it, the other point people make is, I will come to education, but then the job prospects. It improves the job prospects. It improves the economy. This is the kind of a statement that's being made time and again whenever they impose Hindi. I also looked up some statistics on this. If you look at the Economic Survey of India, 2017, page 268 gives the data. Most people migrating out of one state, one particular state, that is happening. I will give you in the order. Most people migrating out of a state is Uttar Pradesh, then Bihar, then Rajasthan, then Madhya Pradesh. All are predominantly Hindi-speaking states. If it is improving job aspects, job prospects, or improving the economy, why are people moving out of your state? Isn't there a bigger problem for you to deal with? So that is what we'll have to look at. And if you compare that statistics, southern states are on the bottom part of it. Very, very little less people migrate out of South India. And even that migration predominantly is to other countries, especially to the West. And what is the, as a lot of people ask, right, what is the problem in learning a third language? What are you going to lose? What am I going to gain by learning a language that I'm not going to use? I live in Tamil Nadu. I'm good with Tamil. With people who don't know Tamil, who come and live here, they also study English. They know basic English at least. So I can converse with them in English. What is the usage? And just reading a few books is not going to make me speak or use Hindi well. Languages develop, the language skill develops by usage, right? So if I travel to Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, I live there for a few years, I'm naturally going to learn that language. Why should I learn that language when I'm in Tamil Nadu? Let the need occur, I will learn. So, and I will just give you one example, right? How many of us, including South Indians, are very fluent in English because our medium of education itself mostly is in English. How many of us are very fluent in English when we move out of college, when we graduate out of college? Majority is not. But what happens later, when they get into a job, there, the medium of communication is English, automatically within a year or two, they develop good English skills. Where does that come from? That's all from usage. So when there is no usage, there is no use in learning Hindi. I personally learned Hindi from the Hindi Prachar Sabha when I was young. Do I really know Hindi now? Absolutely not. I can barely read. So that's because I did not have any necessity to use it. And then why do you force it on us then? And in education, Hindi was slowly imposed on us in a different way, right? they already touched upon the topic. Private schools, flourishing here. Government schools kept the medium of education as Tamil for a long, long time. Very recently, they changed it, and right now, government schools are also offering medium of education as English. So that we oppose. The two-language system has literally, thrown out Tamil in a lot of places. We don't have Tamil in a lot of places. The way we speak in our language, daily spoken language, Tamil has degraded a lot. We'll have to revive that. Similarly, we don't have Tamil anywhere in our names, no. In our worship places like temples, no. We can't use Tamil. Sanskrit is the medium of prayer there. And as Justice already mentioned, right? In the courts, no. Then where is our language? Already even Tamil does not exist in a big way. At least we speak it now. If you keep on imposing this, that will also reduce. And slowly that's how languages die. And this is not something new here. It has happened in Africa. There are case studies for that as well. And in education, slowly they promoted CBSE education here. And right now it has been created here in the public mentality. CBSE is a higher level of education than the state board. And what is that doing to the public? People, even, lower economic levels, they want their children to go to private schools, especially CBSE schools. There, Hindi is being imposed as third language. Slowly, Hindi is coming in, even without, forcing in the government schools. Slowly, Hindi has come in. And in a lot of places, just to reduce the stress of studying the mother tongue, because if you take, for example, you're appearing in your 10th or 12th exam, if you study your mother tongue, you will have to write essays and, stories and all that for your exams. But if you choose Sanskrit or Hindi, example is Sanskrit or French, German, all these languages are offered here. So when you choose them as the second language, if you just write the opposites and meaning, and then the spelling, these kind of things in 12th standard, you get marks. So just for the marks and reducing the time spent to read that language, people are already choosing other languages. So what is the infrastructure that has been created in this country to make the mother tongue of people flourish? Slowly, this will show. Down the line, in another 50 years, even the South Indian languages will lose its existence. Not to the level even what it is practiced today. So, if you look at it, I just wanted to give some statistics, right? What it does to people is Hindi-speaking state, Uttar Pradesh, you take that for example, there are about 2020, this year public exam, 10th and 12th, about 7.95 lakh people, students have failed in the Hindi subject. If it happens in Uttar Pradesh, where Hindi is the mother tongue, if they implement it in Tamil Nadu, think what happened. So that is what we are against. So what will happen is, the problem is that in this 7.95 lakh people who failed in Hindi, if you take Gujarati has very high percentage of pass percentage, and in Hindi, it just 66% pass. What will happen to the rest, 34% or what who failed in? Predominantly, most of them will go out as dropouts from the schools, or they will lose 1 year of their education. Is it really required by implementing a third language? Even implemented in, may not be that. Say, for example, say 5 lakh people, or 5% of the people fail in it. About 9.7 lakh people appear in the public exams in 10th and 12th every year. Say 5% fails, it is about 48,500. What will happen to the 48,500 people? They lose at least 1 year of their education. They will have to reappear in the exams. Or some of them, because of their economic state, they may even drop out from the school. Do we really want this to happen by imposing language, which is not necessary? So that is the basic question here. And liberalism, when you talk about liberalism, think of Tamil Nadu. Do you think there is much liberal state than Tamil Nadu in India? We have Oriental schools in Tamil Nadu. I will give you the numbers as well. There are about 230 Urdu medium schools. There are 391 Telugu medium schools in Tamil Nadu. We have a separate stream of education, Oriental education, for the mother tongue to be preserved. Believe me, Gujarati, Rajasthani, and Sanskrit medium schools are there in Tamil Nadu. And that is what we'll have to do. We have to create infrastructure such that mother tongue, UNESCO, it passed a lot of bills a lot of researchers say that people who learn their mother tongue, their medium of education is in their mother tongue till the age of 12 are very good. Educational success is much better compared to people who have their medium of education in other languages. And there are case studies for this from South Africa and Namibia. Probably go to the UNESCO site. And as they already mentioned, right, talking about the infrastructure in the same, Minority Affairs Ministry's report, 2016 report is what I was referring to. Tamil Nadu state government has created textbooks in Hindi, in Urdu, in Telugu medium for them to learn, science and everything, maths and everything in their language. And I also looked up the statistics from Uttar Pradesh on that. Absolutely no info on any schools that gives other medium language education there. Similarly, 3-language formula, what have they done? First is Hindi, second is English, third, either Urdu or Sanskrit. That's the only option they have in Uttar Pradesh. They did not create infrastructure for other languages to be taught in Uttar Pradesh. And there is absolutely no statistics on teachers, other language teachers, nor other language textbooks for schools. So I will give you one more statistic, right? They say any Indian language as third language in the new education policy. Fine. What will happen end of the day? Will Assamese guy living in Tamil Nadu, if he wants to learn Assamese, would there be an infrastructure to bring an Assamese teacher in every school here? Definitely not. That is not possible. There are about 30 different languages. So you will have to create an infrastructure outside of the schools, like the Hindi Prachar Sabha, where people can go and learn their own languages. There are a lot of online platforms as well, like Udemy and other stuff. You can probably create those kind of platforms. And I think this statistic was already mentioned. The government has spent 643.84 crores on Sanskrit, whereas just 22.94 crores have been spent on Tamil. And then we talk about equality for all the languages. Really? Does equality exist? Definitely not. If you look at it really, if the government wants to improve the quality of education here, definitely they will have to invest in education. There is a precedent here. In 2016, I'm referring to an India Today article, Gujarat was lacking 13,000 teachers. The shortage is 13,000 teachers for different subjects in Gujarati public schools, government schools. So the government should be focusing to address that, because that will directly have an impact on the quality of education of that particular state. Rather than creating an infrastructure, investing a lot of money in creating new Sanskrit and Hindi teachers and sending them across the country. Rather fix the issue in hand to improve the quality of education. And that's with that I end my first round.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Karthika Chelvan. Very good points, well-researched points. I'm sure there'll be discussion on these points later on. Much food for thought. Justice Kajju, anything you want to say at this stage before we get some questions from the audience?
Yeah, I entirely agree with Karthika Chelvan, I think that's his name. He's absolutely right that we must give encouragement to all languages, many of which are sort of, if not dying out, they are in a weak position. we must give encouragement, funds to all. I agree with Karthika Chelvan. He's absolutely right that if we want this country to hold together, it is absolutely essential to guarantee equality not only by words but by deeds, namely by providing funds to all these other languages about which he mentioned, so that all the languages, there's so many languages. The tribal people speak Gondwi and what was mentioned, Santhal, and the Todas in the Nilgiris, I believe they speak some other dialect. They all must be given encouragement, and they should not be allowed to die out. So I entirely agree with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Kajju.